Welcome to another Not Part of Your Scene album review. Today I will be talking about the new Trippie Redd album. I guess it's a deluxe album called Pegasus, or Neon Shark versus Pegasus. I will only be talking about the Neon Shark side. Before we get into that, though, you can find me for music at Chris Sarda, also on YouTube. You can look for Not Part of Your Scene, which is what these podcasts are. And then this is all filtered through the Propaganda Show podcast, where I do music reviews, movie reviews, talk about comics and stuff like that. So basically all my non-sports items come through here. If you are a sports fan, you should also check out Chaotic Sports. We've been focusing a lot more on MMA lately, but the whole gang will be back. We'll be talking about NBA, football, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, on to Trippie Redd. Now, there is a trend lately, with Machine Gun Kelly especially, is the most explicit version of this, where a lot of rappers and cloud rappers, I wouldn't throw Machine Gun Kelly under that banner, but are switching to more of a rock motif. And I don't think it's that surprising, really, because this sort of the style of hip-hop has always leaned more towards the melody, high production. A lot of these guys are the vocalist and the producer on their own beats. Everything from Lil Yachty to Trippie Redd to all the other guys. But we have started seeing their Fall Out Boy influences come to the foreground a little bit more. And this album has gotten compared to the change that Machine Gun Kelly recently made. And in fact, this deluxe edition, I'll be talking about the Neon Shark portion of it, even starts with Machine Gun Kelly's song, Pillbreaker. But I don't see this as a turn towards Blink-182, like as much as I do as see the Machine Gun Kelly album doing that. I see this as just really leaning into some of the rock melodies and just taking another step away from hip hop. But at some point, it's always going to be connected to hip hop lyrically, especially the lyrical matters that a lot of these cloud rappers do, a lot of drug and partying kind of thing. Also, he doesn't really sing. It's that melodic sort of rap and sing that I hear a lot, or that has been made famous by the cloud rappers. I think he just started leaning more into the melody a little bit, but you still hear all the Pro Tools, all the computer adjustments and whatnot. I think that it is where Machine Gun Kelly felt like there were a lot more real guitars on that album. This one, while it does definitely have guitars, sometimes it feels like it's the guitar sound on a keyboard or done production wise, almost too clean. And I find it interesting because in the 90s and 2000s, mid 2000s, a lot of these bands, even when it got into a more hardcore metalcore setting, a lot of these bands were a lot of the reason that this kind of music on the rock side didn't really make it was because it started to sound overproduced. Didn't have that garage feeling, not quite a garage feeling, but just that there was a lot of people involved in it instead of the band and maybe a producer. But what I find is that Neon Shark and Pegasus and a couple other things really lean into that production, really lean into what's happening on the computer rather than with any real instruments or at least on a grand scale. So I just find that something that I would look into or something that really piques my interest is that from the hip hop side, people are doing these sort of pop punk melodies and stuff but doing it with all their production gear. So I guess the first thing is that I was never a big pop punk fan. I never hated it, but I'm not the guy to come to if it's Blink-182. Even when my favorite kind of punk was like skate punk and stuff, but I'm not saying it was grimy, but it's the stuff that I found on Epitaph and the stuff I found on Fat Wreck. Still very poppy, still very melodic, but not quite Blink-182, not quite Fall Out Boy. That went a little bit too to the commercial side to me, although I didn't hate it when it would come on the radio or anything like that. So when you just overproduce it, and then I lose the rapping and I lose the what I love about hip hop and the beats, I don't think this is necessarily for me, even though I found it interesting to listen to, and I really find it intriguing from a music fan perspective to hear how this sound is going to change and evolve. I expect the Cloud Rappers sound to change and evolve much quicker than music that's come before it. A lot of that is because, number one, the vast majority of this is done in front of a computer, can be done by one guy. In this case, Trippie Redd is teaming up with Travis Barker, so that's where a lot of the rock melody comes from, a lot of the rock influence comes from. But because of that, I think that the music can evolve a lot quicker, and I don't know whether it's going to be for me or not, but it is something I'm interested in. And Trippie Redd's gotten big enough that aside from Travis Barker, he's gotten some big names here. So Machine Gun Kelly, like we talked about, is on this, and he's on it twice. I saw Chino Moreno on here. And then, someone I like, and probably I almost really did like this song. There's a little bit repetitive, but Scarlord, which, depending how you look at it, and Zillakami, who I know from features and stuff, but I don't have an opinion yet about him. I haven't listened to Zillakami close enough to know what I think about that work. But Scarlord I love. I'm all about Scarlord. In fact, that is that kind of hip hop that has leaned towards the metal side, right? With screaming lyrics and a lot of, I would say, heavier beats, influence from the Cloud Rappers and stuff. So there are songs that I did, come close to liking and stuff. I can't find the Chino Moreno song on here now. I thought it was very clear which one was Chino. But yeah. So in general, though, I'm not a Kanye 808 guy. I never really came around to that album. The Cloud Rappers, it took me a long time to really open my ears to them, and I'm still in the middle of that now. But it really just, that form of hip hop really took away what I enjoyed about hip hop, which is the focus on beat and rhythm and the poetry rather than the melody. But I do think it's cool that it's happening. I think one of the other things that, despite my systematic view on this style of music and the changes, I don't think Trippie Redd's a really good lyricist. I think he doesn't have much to say, and I just don't find what he says very intriguing, a little bit repetitive at some points. I don't know that, I just put on a review for JPEG Mafia's album, which was more influenced by the Cloud stuff, even though he's done a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other styles of hip hop before. And I said that one wasn't for me, as big as I am a JPEG Mafia fan, that I like his other stuff and that I hope he doesn't continue that trend. But he's just such an interesting lyricist that I can even listen to his EP2 again, or I might, if he does another, heavily future style or cloud rap album, or at least beats that could be my entrance into it, because he's such a good lyricist. But yeah, these lyrics really do fall into that date. I can see how a teenager would like them, I guess, or someone in their early 20s. Just real basic, simple, day-to-day things. I mean, you even technically samples lyrics, if that makes any sense, from a Deftones song from Schools Out. So, third, fourth listen, that really started to, like, they didn't ever grab onto me. So I don't even think that this is probably the right album for me if I really was able to open my mind to really get what's going on this cloud rap level. But I do love that he worked with Travis Barker. I do completely respect him for continually changing and adapting, and I will continue to follow him, especially if he's continues to keep this level of creativity as far as being willing to change and doing different things, and also follow the fandom, because people really like him. So that interests me also. Anyway, this is Chris Sarda, Not Part of Your Scene, reviewing the Neon Shark portion of Neon Shark versus Pegasus.